Yes. So it wasn't a bad week, but there were no real big hitters. And I had, interestingly, my best weekend ever on Mercari. It was crazy good. I think I did 9 sales, which 9 sales doesn't really sound like a lot, but normally in a weekend, I'll do 1 or 2 on Mercari. And this week, they just kept coming. And they were actually, for the most part, the bigger sales that I did last week. As you'll see as we go through, I think I've got 9 here today. None of them are particularly huge. The week on balance, there was enough stuff that it came out okay, but it was just, there's no big hitters. So there's nothing here super duper exciting, but hopefully you'll find some stuff interesting. This first item, this is one of those that I show from time to time, even though it's not really big money, just to remind you that there's money in stuff that you might not ordinarily think there is money in. This is a Selected Lazarus Restaurant Recipes Cookbook. So Lazarus was a kind of a regional department store chain here in the Midwest. In Ohio, it was Lazarus, Shillito's, Reich's. They all merged. They all fell under the umbrella of the Federated Department Stores. They have all since been rebranded as Macy's. But Lazarus, as many department stores did back in that day, had a fairly nice restaurant, and they had some pretty interesting stuff on their menus. Part of the big haul of free stuff that I got, as I was rooting through the boxes, I stumbled on this old cookbook, a recipe book. It was only like 50 some pages. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to look and see. And of course, there's nothing like it anywhere on eBay that I can find. And there's a lot of nostalgia for the days of the department store because it's kind of a dying breed. So I threw this thing up there. My cost of goods sold is 0, so I pay for a premium store. It doesn't cost me anything to list. So I threw this thing up there for $19.99 or best offer plus shipping. Within about 4 days, I had an offer for $16.99 plus shipping and sent it on its way. So again, not huge money, but I probably do 4 to 6 sales like this a week. That's an extra $150. How do you say no to that? This is this is a songbook, actually, that was also part of that free lot. So again, cost of goods sold is 0. Puccini's La Rondine, The Swallow, Canto e Piano Vocal Score from 1969. This was a really pretty rare piece. I only found, I think, 1 that had been sold on eBay over the last year in Terapeak. So I listed this thing, I think, at $29.99 or best offer. This is another one that I received an offer on of $24.99 plus shipping. So I went ahead and sold this. Old songbooks, sheet music. Some of it, it's a lot of work to go through and to research for not necessarily always a lot of reward, but every now and then you'll hit one that's worth 10, 15, 20, 25 bucks, and they're probably worth listing. I don't know that I would probably buy a lot of these individually, but when I can get them in big lots and my cost of goods sold, like this one was 0, but a lot of times I can get them for less than 10 cents a piece. It's usually not difficult to bust out of the lot. First sale for the week over on Mercari. There are going to be several. I think I've actually got more Mercari sales here this week than I do eBay sales, which is really unusual. Seiko, I think. I can't really tell how this is pronounced. A 12 Days of Christmas jigsaw puzzle collection. This is 12 individual 100-piece puzzles in a box. I picked this up at a garage sale back in the spring, assuming that when we got closer to the season, this would be something that somebody would want. I paid, I think, $2 for this. It sold for $25 with free shipping. This was an interesting one. I didn't do as well on this as I anticipated. This is a model from Revell from 1966 of the Mayflower. This was in its box. The box was opened, but the model appeared to be complete. I paid, I think, $9 for this at a garage sale. I had it listed for $34.99, and no watchers, no questions, no nothing. I finally had somebody that reached out to me and asked me to take a picture of a particular piece of this model, and if that piece was not broken, he would buy it. That piece, in fact, was not broken. However, he did lowball me. I had this thing listed for $34.99 or best offer. My minimum acceptable offer was $25. He was down to one offer remaining when he finally hit $25. I decided to cash out of this thing and just move on with life. So $25 plus he paid for priority mailed shipping on this model from 1966. My man, Derek, over at Fundamentals of Side Hustling, he does so well with models, and I can't find any. And when I do find them, I can't find them at a good price. So he's really he does so well with those. And I'm so envious, to be honest, but, it's gone. It's out of here, and I got my money out of it. So, Jim Lucas says, I have 2 of those cookbooks. I've seen the later ones go for $40. Bolos for me. Absolutely. Soup recipes are great. In the Indianapolis area, there's a lot of nostalgia for these. Yeah, they're, again, the old department stores, particularly the ones from prior to everything being rebranded to Macy's. So if it still has the regional connection, like Shillito's, Lazarus, Reich's, Goldman's, all of those, Riches, I think, was another one. Those all have a certain nostalgia factor about them that make them worth, again, not necessarily huge money, but pretty decent money. Next up, back to Mercari. This was an interesting, again, part of the free haul that I did a couple of weeks ago. So I've got nothing in these books. There was I think there were 9 total 1950s era and 60s era Ian Fleming James Bond paperbacks. So old vintage with the old look. They all had a similar style of cover. And I broke these up into lots of 3. One of them sold immediately on eBay, and then I had a customer reach out on Mercari that was looking at 2 individual lots. I had them priced, I want to say, at $17 each plus shipping. He asked if I would combine them and cut him some kind of deal on the 2 lots. So I created a custom listing. I edited, actually, one of the listings to include, as you can see, updated 6-book 007 paperback lot. I charged him $27 because I was going to save $3 on combined shipping. And these are on their way, $20 minus what I had to pay for shipping, which was still, I think these still went out for $3.82. So this was a pretty profitable sale, again, considering cost of goods sold was nothing. This was a nice book from 1929. I picked this up at an estate sale for $1 back late winter, early spring. Look Homeward Angel from Thomas Wolfe. This was a modern library giant edition dust jacket. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see from the picture the dust jacket is not in particularly great shape. As I've talked about here previously, as long as it is not just completely falling apart, I usually leave them on the book because people prefer to have them. This book, again, from a cost of goods sold of $1, went for $32.99 plus shipping. So another one, if you're inclined to look for books, be on the lookout. Not all of the Thomas Wolfe stuff does fantastic, but the older kind of original ones do pretty well. I've talked about bound magazines here, numerous times on this show. This is part of a set that I picked up well over a year ago, The History of the Second World War. This was volume 3. I had the bound, I think it was, I want to say 12 issues per binder, and I had maybe 7 or 8 of these and sold all of them except volume 3 almost immediately for $32.99 with free shipping. And this one just sat here for the longest time. I finally had a customer on Mercari that reached out to me with an offer of $28 with free shipping, and I sent this thing on its way. So again, be on the lookout for bound magazines, particularly anything historic, the history of the Second World War, this particular volume notwithstanding. They all sold for good money and fairly quickly. This was a pretty nice sale. I picked these up at a garage sale for 10 cents a piece back in early summer. A vintage 90s book set. These were called Girl Talk. I had 14. I don't know how many there are actually in this series, but I got these, like I said, for 10 cents a piece with a bulk buy of a bunch of other books. I had this thing listed over on Mercari for $49 with free shipping. My cost of goods sold at 10 cents a piece is $1.40, so that's a pretty nice flip. And now I believe it is time for the flip of the week. Also, $49. This is something I picked up at an estate sale for 50 whole cents. Your Days Are Numbered, a manual of numerology for everybody by Florence Campbell. This is a trade paperback from 1987. I do reasonably well with anything astrology, tarot, numerology, all of that stuff. People eat that stuff up. This is one, again, I own it for next to nothing. It sold for $49 with free shipping. It went out of here media mail for $3.19 plus the cost of the poly mailer minus my fees. Pretty nice sale. Not, of course, not hundreds of dollars, but a nice way to end the week. I just love these old books. They do pretty well. They're not necessarily huge money, but they're easy to list. They're easy to ship. They're easy to store. I just think I love media, as we've talked about on this show previously. So hey, you watched all the way to the end. I appreciate it. If you want to catch the full Reselling News podcast, click the video in the upper right-hand corner. To never miss a show, you can subscribe down below.